Every music producer and engineer wants to raise their rates, but most of them don't. And it's not because they're not good at their craft. It's not because they don't know how to make their clients happy. It's because they're afraid of losing existing clients, afraid of scaring away new clients. And a lot of these reasons they tell themselves why they can't raise their rates, most of them are complete bullshit. So today we're going to break apart some of the lies that studio pros tell ourselves because we're too afraid to have the difficult conversation. I'm Carl Bahner, and I spent the past 20 years in the music industry as a drummer, mixing engineer, and educator, building a global freelance business without living in a major music city. Now I help Grammy-winning engineers and producers to grow a business that doesn't rely on luck or word of mouth. It is a scary thought that you're going to lose your clients. When I talk about these assumptions, I want to be very clear. I think that they're based out of humility, and also maybe even based out of genuine love for what you do. Like that's, I think, one of the hardest things for us as creatives to get over is the fact that we also love doing this. So it feels harder to justify charging more money because it's not like something that we hate doing. If we hated doing what we do, we would raise our rates every other day. We would have no problems there. But it's not even just the relationship itself that we're afraid of losing. It's like, well, if I don't work with them anymore, even money aside, I like making that music. I like doing that thing. So there's also this like internal struggle too, where we're trying to figure out that balance between how do we justify getting the rates that we feel like we really should be getting without scaring away something that we enjoy doing. I want to be clear that I'm not trying to say that it's a totally irrational fear, but I think some of the specific reasons that producers and engineers use are not entirely based in reality, or at least they're not based on data. They're based on an assumption. They're based on fear, and they're based on what they think might happen. We are in this weird, unique spot where we are creative, weirdo humans trying to sell a service to other weird, creative humans where we want them to trust us with their musical baby, right? It's like we're a therapist and we're a babysitter and we're a technician and we're a collaborator artist. You know what I mean? Like we're all of these things at once. To say that money conversations just feel murky and uncomfortable, like, duh, that's why. I'm going to make a musical analogy for this, like production and creation analogy. I have ADHD and I like making music. So unsurprisingly, I get a gazillion ideas about what to do and what we can try and different ways we can approach this section of the song. And one of the things that hurts my soul and makes me want to cry is when an artist shoots down an idea before we try it. I have a long history of bad ideas, musically speaking. I probably for my life as well, but that's another story. But I've made a lot of mistakes. I've tried a lot of things that didn't work. But in those situations where I've tried to do something weird and new and unexpected and unfamiliar, there are some times where that just completely opened my eyes, the artist's eyes. And I get so mad when an artist assumes that an idea that we have isn't going to work. I want to try it and find out for myself. But thinking about raising your rates, we make a lot of these assumptions. And instead of actually having that conversation, trying to figure out how to make it work, we catastrophize. And it's like, oh my gosh, if I try adding reverb to the vocal, the artist is never going to work with me again. That's not a thing. When we have clients, especially clients that we've worked with before that love us and they found something about us that they are really drawn to, that's not just the music itself. It's not just the sounds. It's not just the microphones that you have. It's not that. There's something about you, something about your personality and your tastes and your experiences and your perspectives. And that is what makes them keep coming back and working with you. When an artist that really cares about what they do and actually values what you bring to the table, when they make the decision about hiring you, it's not just about the money. Yes, everybody's going to have their limit. I don't want this to come across as like some pie in the sky, like every artist is magically going to just like be able to triple their budget tomorrow. But for artists you've worked with before that love you, they love the process, they love the collaborative energy that you bring to the project, having that conversation about raising your rates isn't going to be as much of a smack in the face to them as I think you're thinking it's going to be. Let's say that you were working with an artist for a while and the last time you worked together, it was $400 for a mix. And now you want your rates to be $600 for a mix. I've done this many times. I mean, probably dozens or hundreds of times at this point. I will say I am so excited to work on new music with you. I feel like we see eye to eye on a lot of things, and it's always a great time. I know the last time we worked together, I was charging $400 per song, and just wanted to let you know my rate now for new clients is $600. But because you're awesome, I don't want to charge you that full rate. So I'm happy to do it for $500 if you want to meet me in the middle. It's a way that you're able to get 25% increase in your rate, but they feel like they're getting a deal. So ultimately the issue is we're afraid of saying the high price because we think that all they're going to think about is the high price. But really, if we frame it in a way that they realize the excitement that you guys share together in the studio, they remember how fun it is to be with you. They had great experiences. They love you. They love the music. They're going to find more value than just the price tag. And when you're able to have that conversation, acknowledging your appreciation for them, acknowledging that energy that you have when you work together, and then saying, because you're you, I'm happy to give you a discount and meet you in the middle at whatever that number is. There are going to be people that can't afford it, right? And obviously it depends on how big your price change is. But if you try this conversation and they end up saying that they really appreciate it, but they physically can't do any more than that because of like their job or like medical expenses or, whatever the other things are in their lives, then number one, they're going to still appreciate you even more and feel even more special because you extended them that discount. And even if you say, you know what, you're awesome, let's just stay at 400. Heard a dog bark. And even if you say, you know what, you're awesome, like, Stevie, shut up. Look, you're awesome. I don't care. Let's just do the old price. Don't even worry about it. Like, I just love working with you. You're not going to be any worse off than you were 3 minutes ago. That's the thing. It's like, you're not going to know until you try. And if anybody does come back and is like, what the hell, Carl? Who do you think you are? That's a pretty big red flag about that person anyway. And if anything, you were dodging a bullet. I think I only had one artist ever actually fight me on it. I don't work with them anymore, not because of the prices, but because they were a pain in my ass. But the worst thing that can happen is they can't afford it and you decide to stay at that same old rate. Or you decide that maybe you don't like that client as much and they're not as good of a fit. And you just say, let me know if things change. Let me know if your situation changes and we can get moving on the song. It allows you to make a decision instead of an assumption. And I think that's huge. If you can leave with one little nugget here, it is that your value, the value that you can provide to the clients that you can really, really do a great job with, it is not going to be based on your portfolio. It's not going to be based on your credits. It's not going to be based on what mic you have. It's not going to be based on how perfectly flat your mastering space is. It's going to be based on how deeply you understand what they need and what they're afraid of and what they're aiming for, and your ability to effectively communicate to them that you understand that and that you want to be a part of that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was insightful and helpful, and I hope that you take the leap and raise your rates, because I'm going to make a pretty safe assumption that maybe you're a little overdue for that. But in any case, like, subscribe, do the things that YouTubers tell you to do. I appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.